Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here, that we've all made it. This is the Daily Medicine Transmission for Friday, March 26, 2021. We are so close to this full moon that's coming, and I don't know about you, but I can really feel things, and I have been for a while, but they are really amping up right now. So we have some pretty extreme astrology to talk about today. Venus is meeting the sun in Aries, Mars is meeting the moon's north node in Gemini, and Black Moon Lilith is meeting Uranus again in Taurus. So there is a lot going on. Plus the moon is in Virgo. So if you are at all feeling like cleaning your house or organizing your closet or any number of things, remember the moon is in home in Cancer, which very much is about where we feel safe and secure and where we belong. So in a mundane sense, it does relate to family and home and our nest. So if you're feeling driven in some ways to express that Virgo analysis, detail-oriented energy by organizing things around your house, I would not be surprised. So it's also about a time to organize ourselves emotionally, to really get into the nuts and bolts and discipline ourselves when it comes to our internalized experience, our emotional landscape, our personal experience, and how we feel. So we're going to go over all of that. I am recording, it looks like. Let's see, as per usual, there's always been, all week there's been technical difficulties, and you'd think we were in Mercury retrograde, but no, it's just Mercury in Pisces. Honestly, it's just like nothing is certain, and when it comes to communication and the movement of thoughts, ideas, and information, it seems to me that it just follows its own trajectory at this point. You know, Mercury is at home, is the ruler of Virgo. This is the opposition to Pisces, and so Mercury is not very strong in Pisces, of course, because it wants to be able to analyze information, put things where it belongs, crunch the numbers or the details, and not just dissolve into the formlessness that Pisces represents. But we have definitely been able to take advantage of this time with Mercury in Pisces to really access these mystical and spiritual realms when it comes to our thought processes. To get some inspiration, right? And to have a connection to divine source in a way that makes sense to us, and able to bring it to our rational mind. So there's just so much happening right now, and it's really important to stay grounded as we go through things. So a couple of things that have come to my attention. Number one, there was a huge tornado that touched down, I believe it was Alabama, and was very devastating. I haven't read a lot of the news about it yet, so I try to hold off on consuming information before I do my especially my morning routine with the meditation and before I do this transmission. But I did see something about a massive tornado. So there's one type of destructive mechanism that forces change. There is some weird stuff happening in the sky. This morning there was green lightning all over the sky, like before the sun came up around here. And there's also stuff online, news articles and videos about an incredible event. Oh boy, my cats are making a lot of noise and destroying my house. So also to that seems to really fit in with what's happening today. And also to there, as I said, there was some sort of meteor that broke up, debris from an exploded rocket. Not exactly sure what was happening, but there was an amazing display of something in the sky last night over the Pacific Northwest that is really drawing a lot of people's attention, and certainly drawing my attention. So it's certainly something to keep our eyes on and to just see what's going on. But with the moon in Virgo, right? Virgo time is about the sixth house. It's personal reconstruction. It is the part of the chart in the sixth house where we really start to get more involved in our discipline, how our training, right? How we are going to be of service and really fine tuning that. And this often comes about as personal reconstruction. We've gone through the moon in Leo and really feeling such a strong urge to express ourselves, be in our most unique aspect, and then also coming into the Virgo, this was last night, coming into the Virgo moon. Now it's time to take that expression and really discipline it so that we can use it and be of service to any kind of commitment or contractual arrangement that the seventh house represents. And that is going to be part of our full moon in Libra. So we'll be talking a lot more about that as I put out an astrology report about the full moon and the last half of this lunar cycle, which will include Easter and Passover, and will lead us to the next new moon on the 11th of April. So there is some things really heating up right now, and there are a lot of conflicting energies, and not even conflicting, but just wild card opportunities to really adjust ourselves and take this opportunity to really dive into that personal reconstruction, whatever that means for us. And this is why knowing your chart is really important, because you can see where Virgo is and how these particular transits are impacting your own natal chart or your progress chart. So all paths lead back, right? And that's, with Neptune and Pisces, that's really a big part of that is realizing that it all goes back to where we came from. And so no matter what you do, it's all going to come back around, right? What goes around comes around. And the 12th house is the area of life where that really comes to a head. And Neptune and Pisces has been making that very clear to us all through its transit through Pisces. And Mercury now bringing it to our conscious and rational mind, which is very difficult if we are not used to engaging these mystical realms, these watery, magical realms with our mind. It can be confusing and a lot of fog. And we've talked about this already, that the fog of confusion will lift with the light of truth, but we're still having some work to do on ourselves, and there's a lot of quincunxes today. We'll look at the chart and see. And of course, with Lilith, Black Moon Lilith meeting Uranus again in Taurus, man, survival coming back up, our ability to create inner happiness despite the darkness outside of us, being absolutely precipitated by some sort of, major earth-changing event, and then having to really having it trigger that part of ourselves that is focused on survival, that's focused on that deeper drive to survive, those animal instincts, the deep, dark feminine, that part of ourselves that isn't even intuition, it is just instinct to survive. And the lengths that we would go to, or the full expression of that instinct, can be incredibly empowering. And it also, if we are unconscious of it and our trauma, it also can lead us to actions that will be destructive, very destructive. So there's a lot today. So let's just go into the chart so that we can see what's going on. I hope everybody's doing well and is taking good care of themselves. That is definitely the Virgo archetype as well, is like, what are you doing to take care of your body, your mind, your soul, right? I mean, Virgo is very analytical, of course, and very detail oriented and meticulous. So we can really use this energy to get into the depths of who we are and really work on the spaces that need, shifting things around emotionally, shifting things around within us in order to be able to be of full service when that full moon comes into Libra, especially because we're going to want to see very clearly what it is that has worked in previous cycles that is also going to support and give us something to anchor into coming into a new cycle, which we are definitely in, right? We're in this transition period, and it's long and drawn out, and it's being, everything that has to do with our old way of life and the traditions, Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn especially, is just being destroyed. And so this is a good opportunity, but it's important to realize that it all comes back around. All the paths lead back home. Isn't that interesting that we come back around to the degree of the solar eclipse in December, right? The 24 degrees of Sagittarius, that there is something to look forward to. There is happiness and a sense of contentment and satisfaction that comes with getting back home. But it does require that in order to do that, we have to be true to ourselves and be true to the collective value and belief systems, the big picture, the truth that Sagittarius represents. And if we do so, then there are blessings and good fortune, right? And it's Jupiter in Sagittarius. And so Juno, asteroid Juno, the wife of Zeus, right, in her counterpart's home territory, is really holding this line right now and realizing and giving us a sense of what it means to be committed and what betrayal means and trust and the different, how that plays into still fulfilling a contract. These are some really important themes that we are going to go way more into with the astrology. But for now, we're going to talk about today's transmission. All paths lead back. So let's look at the chart so we can see this amazing stuff that's happening today. First of all, let's see here. No, that's not me. One day I will figure out how to do this. It worked seamlessly earlier when I was practicing it, but now I can't seem to get this part taken care of here. Okay, well, that's not help. Oh, there we go. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. This is a learning curve, as always, and it's really just to make things more seamless, but it seems like it always ends up being much more of a hassle. Here we go. There. No, come back. Okay, I'm just going to take my face out of here for now. Okay, so let's look at the chart. Man, so much disruption today. So much disruption, right? Our whole, routine, especially because it felt like we were really getting into like some sort of zone here and getting really thrown off course. So, and Mars is not making that easy for us. Okay, so a couple things we're looking at. Right before they dipped into this 6 to 7 degrees, the Sun and Venus came together in Aries. And this is such a really strong desire and potency to be, right? And very one-sided, like an emotional urge to assert ourselves and to be ourselves and to actualize this subjective experience. And you have the Sun, which is our fulfillment, and Venus, which is who we value, what we value, the goddess of love, right? This feminine aspect of ourselves that's really connected to the material, valuable world and is very much about the resources. And that's not necessarily financial resources, although that does play into it, but it's all resources, right? She draws them to her. And when she's in Aries like this, she is very passionate and very fierce, and she pulls what she desires to her with a very strong cardinal energy, just like Mars represents, which is the ruler of Aries. And so when these two come together, the Sun and Venus, you have and the Sun is exalted in Aries, by the way. So there is some power here in Aries with the Sun. So our fulfillment of who we are, right? The expression of who we are is looking for a very strong outlet and is very one-sided to a certain extent. And then it meets Venus, who wants to accept that, right? And brings it to her very, like I said, very passionately, very strongly. And so, we can really find ourselves being much more social, right? Much more engaged with the world around us, right? Pulling these experiences to us in order to fulfill this part of ourselves. And that, again, relationships, the material world, the things that gratify Venus's senses. She tends to be kind of indulgent, right? But in Aries, it's not as much, right? It is energy. She's just pulling it towards her. And as she's doing this, it allows us to express this part of ourselves with the Sun. So it's very strong. And remember, Venus is still in the quote unquote underworld because we can't see her because she's in conjunction with the Sun. And so when we see the Sun, Venus is in the same part of the sky, which means that we can't see her because the light is making it impossible, basically. And so what else is in Aries? Well, obviously Chiron is, and we'll get to that with the moon. And asteroid Ceres is also in Aries right now, actually is going to make a connection to the nodes today. Asteroid Ceres represents the goddess Ceres. She's the goddess of agriculture, the goddess of the grain, and she does represent the cycle of all of us of going into the underworld and coming back out. Again, the oscillation of the natural cycle. So during the spring and the summer, there's abundance and it's bountiful and she provides. That's what she represents. And then she retracts, right? She contracts. She brings everything back in, goes into hibernation, and is really gathering her resources and resting, and it's part of a cycle. And this duality is really where she's sitting at in Aries, right? She's in the midpoint between the beginning of Aries, which is desire, and the beginning of Aries, which is desire, and then also the second half of Aries, which is the potency, right? The potency comes from our desire to be. We gather it, we consolidate it, and then it becomes a potent force. And so she's ready to come out, and she is sitting in this place of the dualism in some ways and ritualizing that experience. There's so much today about the expression of the dualism as a creative potential. I really want to put my face back here. I'm sorry. Let's see if this works. No. I see. There we go. See? I just really feel like it's important. Not that you have to look at me, but you kind of lose focus if you're just looking at this chart and not seeing all of my hand motions. Okay. So here we go. There is this sense of dualistic creative potential that is coming from all angles today. So these two coming together, the Sun and Venus coming together, that is, she's pulling in this urge to establish herself and to establish her desire. She's really fiercely pulling it in. The Sun is our expression, our full expression of who we are, the center of who we are, also wanting to so there's going to be situations that we find ourselves in that they're coming together and they're meeting together and they're actualizing this one-sided but very bright subjective part of ourselves. We want concrete and stabilized existence as a person, and we will pull this to us and find a way through our material environment, through our relationships, in order to express it. And that's going to be with this conjunction today. And then, like I said, Ceres is also in Aries, and so there is this sense of the dualistic, the ritualization of relationship, of masculine and feminine, of spirit and matter, right? It's all there to be used as a way to, look at that, recondition ourselves, to recalibrate ourselves, that sixth house energy. And we'll get into how today is giving us so many opportunities to work with this energy. And specifically with this ritualization of the dualistic nature of relationship and being able to kind of bridge both of these positions in order to communicate. This is where the North Node is right now, the North Node in Gemini, and this is where Mars is going to be. So Mars is going to meet the North Node in an opposition to the South Node today and really activate this drive and this pull to bridge a gap, right? And so again, there's going to be, with the moon in Virgo, even though there's all these quincunxes, right? It's going to quincunx all of this Aries stuff. You can see it right here, and Chiron as well. And will eventually quincunx where Ceres is, probably not until tomorrow or later, just because it's still in the early stages of Virgo. So like I said, there's gonna be lots of opportunities, and not the least of which is Black Moon Lilith meeting Uranus and Taurus again today. So really material disruptions and things that are going to trigger that survival part of us really big. And it will force us to a certain extent to get very clear with ourselves and to do the internal work that the moon in Virgo really sets us up to do, to be meticulous about ourselves, to be very detail oriented, to do the actual things in real time, in a real way that discipline us and train us and like I said, recondition us to come into service to humanity, to other, which is what the seventh house in Libra really represents, and a contractual arrangement. So the moon will also be in a trine to Uranus, and it will also be in an earth trine to Uranus and Black Moon Lilith as well. And so what we're doing in that realm, as much as it's quincunxing and creating that opportunity for adjustment with all of the Aries energy, that's really like fire and fire and fire. You're going to see it today in the intuitive message, right? That seed of transformation that's planted within us. We really want to actualize something. There is an urge for each of us individually to express our originality, to express our individual sense of value. And this trigger with Uranus and Black Moon Lilith in a very material way is going to really support, and likewise the moon at this position is also going to support us in the face of this disruption and this possible trigger, survival trigger. And it will, if we are each individually able to express our own individual value, regardless of the tradition that it comes from, really stepping into originality, I think this is going to allow us some more ease and grace in terms of finding that place within us that allows that we all have our way. We all have our way of going deep within and being able to create something beautiful and joyous amidst the darkness. Because number one, we understand that there are cycles that are playing out, and we have to trust them in a very, natural cycles. That is what Taurus represents, earth and the fixed earth. And so there are cycles within nature that are very fixed, right? Just like the rotation of the planet around the sun, for instance, and the rotation on our axis that creates the seasons. But if we are able to find that place within us that makes us uniquely us, no matter what, it will really support this disruption and will give us something to anchor into when our survival essence is, or that part of ourselves that is fearing disempowerment is triggered by a massive change in the material world, whatever that means. And this is in direct, this is where the quincunx happens, because there is no fitting in with where Virgo is to where Aries is. Aries is cardinal fire. I want to initiate and actualize and direct that spark of life somewhere. And there will be options for that to happen with the Sun and Venus today. But the moon, again, is giving us this chance to really get deeper into ourselves and condition ourselves and look very honestly at ourselves and what makes us unique and what do we have to do to cultivate that. What do we have to do to support that part of ourselves? Because that's really going to be what gets us through. If we're relying on tradition, if we're relying on old stuff exclusively, like what we have done, then I don't feel like that's going to really support us as we face major changes and major earth changes potentially. Let's see what else is going on today. The moon is going to square the nodes. Now, this is what I want to show you. Now, there's going to be another T-square today. Look at that. First of all, you can see the Grand Cross right in the middle here with all of this mutable energy. Gemini, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, mutable grand cross. Because you can see the square and then the two oppositions, okay? But we're going to focus on this T-square for today because the moon in Virgo, again, is going to provide that, that point, that focal point that allows for the release of tension between these 2 points. And the South and North Node are always in tension to each other. But with Mercury or Mars here on top of the North Node, we are really going to be moving forward towards that direction that we're driven to in order for our soul to evolve, which is this ability to bridge the physical gap of communication in some way. We know we're bridging physical space and social distinction so that we can communicate telepathically. It's like 2 cells in a body are able to communicate with each other because of a vibratory resonance, right? It's you enter a realm of consciousness where communication is more direct because you're tapping right in into the mercurial energy that flows as one mind amongst everything. And so Mars is really going to be drive. There's so much drive to fill in these spaces. And it's really not meant to fill in. It's much more meant to bridge the gap and work with that Gemini energy of the duality again, back and forth, the duality back and forth, being able to bridge the gap, to be on one side and simultaneously commune with the other side, the opposite side, in a singular expression. And Mars is really going to pull us towards this place today. And this is going to this tension here, because the South Node is where we've been and provides the momentum forward, which is much more about a deep collective set of knowledge, occult knowledge, ancient knowledge that's buried deep underneath the Great Pyramids, right? It kind of, we've been there. We have gone deep into the mysteries of where we've come from. And it's not to say we won't do it again, but we're talking about a large collective big picture here. And we've already done this. And so this is propelling us forward. We've gone down this path before, but it starts with being able to just engage with the knowledge, right? Not so much the understanding. Now here is the focal point, which is the moon in square to these nodes in a T-square. And let's find it here. 14 degrees Virgo is a Syrian starseed marking, right? Deep reliance upon your ancestral roots of individual character, right? You're not going to be able, so this is a really important way to think about Virgo in terms of a plant growing cycle, because nothing is able to grow healthy without a strong root system. And what's your root system? Well, it's Cancer, right? Moon rules Cancer. So we are in an opportunity now to really, again, this is even about going much deeper into not necessarily the collective belief system, which is the Sagittarian South Node energy, but this is about going deeper into who we each individually are, going into our ancestral roots, looking at what is stabilizing us and allowing us to pull everything we need from the natural environment, right? The soil, Taurus, pulling it through. Oh yeah, there we go. With especially with Uranus and Black Moon Lilith in a trine. I mean, there's an individual part of ourselves, and then we pull up what we are rooted into. We're pulling the resources from that place through our ancestral lineage of some sort, in order to, really blossom, right? And this is going to help with that, because there's so much drive with Mars on the North Node. There's so much drive. There's so much ambition. It's just pulling us. And in fact, Mars is like mounted the dragon and is just like, I'm in charge now. So let's go. And so there's just so much pull to be able to move back and forth between the thesis and antithesis of all the knowledge that we've been accumulating in order to really understand of ultimately understand, but where we're going to be able to ease this tension is getting into our own individual, how that lineage is influencing us individually and our highest potential, because that's really where Virgo and the sixth house leads us, is to the highest version of ourselves that we then offer in service. And Virgo, this is Vesta's priestesses, and she's in Virgo right now. And so the moon meets Vesta as well. Two heads looking out and beyond the shadows. You're in the duality, but not of it. Oh. So this is about getting deep into that understanding in order to be able to ride these waves very gracefully and with some real mastery behind it. And we can't just do it alone. We do have to dig deep and really make sure our root system is very strong to stabilize us, to pull the resources out. And we didn't necessarily, it's not just us. We rooted ourselves as, emotionally into where we belong, into family, into a sense of identity. Loyalty is that Cancer fourth house energy. This is our root system, is the Cancer energy and what the moon represents. And so the family tree, right? The Virgo, it's like when that is strong, then you're able to pull what you need from that root system into the conditioning of who you are. Okay. So you can see that there is so much like outward, masculine. I want to go somewhere, the mind doing all its things, and at the same time the moon is really pulling us back and down. It's like, okay, you have to get down into yourself. Now Mercury, let's look at that real quick. Mercury, because this is going to be part of the grand cross here, is Mercury in Pisces, and it really is at a point right now that is very similar to Saturn, but in a much more artistic, inspirational way, which is you have to get into a quiet space if you want to be inspired in a very divine, spiritual way. And I think this is obviously squaring where Mars in the North Node is, because this is about mind and understanding, knowledge and understanding. Well, sometimes, especially when it comes to the end of a cycle, like Pisces, for instance, there is no way you can wrap your mind around what's happening. You just have to allow inspiration to flow in. And this is why I say all paths lead back to home. No matter what you do, it's all going to come back around. It really has a lot to do with how you and I as individuals are going to condition ourselves to be part of that process. And we're going to see that very clearly when this full moon happens, which is going to be in a conjunction with this Venus and Chiron. So again, there's so much here that is kind of priming us to get ready for all of the different triggers and wounding that is going to pull us off of our focus. So let's, and there'll be so much more astrology coming, I promise. But in the meantime, let's start looking at the reading, because this imagery is really cool. So first of all, let's look at the big picture here. So the 10 of Cups reversed, that's being satiated emotionally, but when it's reversed like this, we just can't get enough. We still feel empty, and there's Mars in Pisces, right? That's the 10 of Cups energy. So the cycle is supposed to be coming back around emotionally, but something's missing, right? We're not quite full, and you can really feel that, because with Mars in other mutable energy, like we just want more and we want more, and with North Node, we're just driven and driven and driven, right? And at the center here's the Ace of Wands again. Wow, we are really feeling at the heart of us this, and not even so much feeling it for ourselves, we can feel that something is about to spark, right? That is the Ace of Wands. That is really the beginning of the Aries season. And King of Keys reversed. In terms of our focus and attention, we are not feeling very confident or authoritative. I shouldn't say authoritarian, authoritative when it comes to our material environment. I would say again, there's Uranus and Black Moon Lilith lining up. But But at the root here, Archangel Raphael, this is blessings and miracles and healing, right? Virgo 2 is about the healing of the physical body, the material body, the actual process of healing. Whereas the Taurus is much more about our actual body itself and the physical nature. Virgo is about the processes in the physical body. So the healing process is part of this. So being at the root here energetically is this, openness to miracles and blessings and healing when it comes, specifically healing. Archangel Raphael is the healer. He's got the green orb, and he's also got the pink heart chakra. So it's really about spiritual healing, or using energy work to heal. And of course, Buddha prepares. Here's that platypus again. Stop complaining. And this is also about originality. This comes back out with Virgo too, because part of the Virgo archetype when we are reconstructing ourselves is to find that original piece of us that makes us uniquely who we are. And we discover that, I think, in Leo. And now it's about taking that spark within us and alchemizing it to a certain extent, which you'll see here is number 14 is the art or temperance, but the art is reversed. There is going to be this inner alchemy that comes out of all of this when we are rooted in a sense of openness to healing and miracles and blessings. So let's see if I can do this. Okay. And move this. Yay. Finally. I'm getting the hang of this, guys. All right. Let's go into this one piece at a time. All right, here's our 10 of Cups. Now, remember, it's reversed, but I wanted to show it to you upright so you get a really good view. Satiation. I don't know how to pronounce this as it is. Satiety. Satiation, right? You're full. You're emotionally full. You're so full that it's all like blasting out from the top. You can also see that this is very much like a Kabbalah or Tree of Life focus. So all areas of life are full emotionally, and there's a very forceful flow because you're full, and you're ready to start the cycle over again with the 10. Now, when it's reversed like this, something is missing, or we're not feeling full. We're feeling empty. And we're seeking inner completion and fulfillment when it's reversed. We're looking for it. It's not there for us. We're not completing the cycle. And so there's an emptiness or a sentimentality, right? I remember what it felt like back in this situation. I wish we could go back to that. There's a resistance to the cycle coming back around as the energy comes into the moment, right? The causation coming into the moment is not feeling full. And if we are feeling full, then really not accepting that fullness is the indication that the cycle is going back around. So we're not feeling very satiated. Mars is certainly very active right now in conjunction with the North Node. And so there is a lot in Aries, just so much energy wanting to move, but we're not feeling fulfilled, right? We're not emotionally feeling fulfilled necessarily. And as we come into the present moment, the heart of the moment, we have the Ace of Wands upright. So again, there's the spark, right? The wish to create, the sudden illumination that is the seed point of creation. Inspiration, spiritual hunger. Ooh, that's a good one. I think that we are all very spiritually hungry. We're all ready to create something. And we feel this. We all feel that we are at the root power of transformational fire right now. And of course, again, Sun and Venus in Aries together. This makes a lot of sense. And this is not the first time this week this has come out in this position. So this is drawing our attention back to the fact that we're all feeling this spark at the heart of us, at the heart of all of our situations. It's about to spark off, and we feel the sudden illumination and the wish to create something. Now, like I said, King of Keys is reversed, and so we're not feeling very confident. There is difficulty with this masculine energy in a work setting, in a business setting, right? The keys are material. And I would argue with Virgo, with the moon in Virgo, we are having a real hard time with the masculine energy when it comes to the works, right? What are we doing with ourselves? And we really want to act. And the moon in Virgo is pulling us back in to do the work internally, and success may feel elusive. This is where our attention is right now. We are not feeling successful necessarily. There may be a lot of effort, but no payoff. And I would say with the 10 of Cups, we're not feeling fulfilled. And so our attention is focused on what we don't have, what's not working. And the focus on understanding how life's purpose can complement our career directives is something that we can really focus on right now with this moon in Virgo. Clarity will lead to knowing which actions to take, because I think that there is this sense that we're not emotionally full. We're feeling this urge, we're feeling this spark to create, but our energetic attention, right, these upper chakras, and our focus seems to be on what we don't have, what's not working, how we're not feeling grounded, and elusive. Success seems elusive, right? Now, it also could be that this energy is internalized, right? That our focus now is this internal, masculine, goal-oriented energy internally. And I would argue that that's something else that we could see this as that it is coming back around. Even so, success may seem elusive out in our attention, so we are being asked to bring it back around and internalize the experience and be able to focus on what we can do, right? Focus on what actions we can take in order to feel grounded, feel successful, feel like that we are actually making headway with our goals, our material goals. But I would say with Lilith and Uranus meeting today in Taurus with this moon in Virgo, there's some serious resistance here into feeling like this person within us, and we might act out in order to find a way to get the payoff. There seems to be big effort with no payoff, seemingly, right? And with the 10 of Cups, again, there is we're not feeling emotionally full necessarily coming into the moment. Now, Raphael, of course, is here at the base of everything. Archangel Raphael, blessings, miracles, healing, right? We can ask for support. Now, if we are able to root into this place, accepting the asking for and accepting what comes in that is an adjustment, right? All these quincunxes with a Virgo moon. Remember, Virgo is about the health process, right? The healing process, the actual biochemical mechanisms that are happening within us that lead to healing and convalescence, or reconvalescence, I guess you could say. If we root into this place here energetically, we can trust that what we need is going to come to us if we ask and if we're open, right? And this may come in the guise of a person. Oftentimes it does, because Archangel Raphael, you see, he doesn't have any wings, right? He's much more connected to humanity because of the healing modality that is involved here. And so there's an offering here that we can really link into and have our subconscious energy really wrap itself around. But we have to be open, and we have to ask, and we have to really, really plant that seed in our subconscious that we want healing, that we want to feel like we are making headway somewhere, right? So that we can actualize all of this really potent energy that's here right now. But it does require that we are rooting in energetically and trusting this and asking for it and believing it, so that when it does come through, that we recognize what it is. Because miracles happen every day, right? Blessings happen every day. It's just if we don't have, if we don't have eyes to see, if we don't recognize it, then we miss the moment. So number 14, this is the art. It is representative of Sagittarius, right? The bringing together of opposites and the sacred alchemy, also called temperance. Now this is reversed. So there is a sense here that this could really come about as a splitting apart with the South Node in Sagittarius. This also could lead to, or they also represent the reversal, because this is where we are coming from. And so this energy is on its way out as opposed to not being fully expressed. And it is about the sacred alchemy. Now, it also could represent the internalized experience being reversed, especially because it also is actualized by Mercury in the 6th house, right? The process of bringing these two aspects together and creating something new through the art of alchemy starts with Virgo and the analytical process that Virgo represents. And so Mercury in the 6th house is actually analyzing the knowledge, putting it where it needs to be, really conditioning it so that, and purifying it. That's the other thing about Virgo, is purification on a very material way, right? That's again why it goes back to the health regimens and the diets and what we do on a regular basis to keep our system purified. So Mercury purifies the elements and puts them where they need to be and works on them so that then they come together in their purest form in this sacred alchemy. And so again, this is going to be much more of an internalized process, I think, that this all leads to, that we will, and there might be a splitting apart. It could literally be the opposite of the coalescence, which is the splitting apart and the tearing apart. But I also feel like that this is much more of an internalized experience with the moon in Virgo, and how much it represents at least a transitory experience of purifying these aspects within us so that we can use them appropriately. And then that when we bring them together, that they will actually be pure in their what these two aspects create when they come together, if that makes sense. So there's a lot here. There's a lot here. There's a lot in the astrology today. It seems a little overwhelming unless you are really able to just get into yourself and really work on what you can work on within yourself and organize yourself through the next day or so as we prepare for the full moon. And you'll be provided with opportunities to work on these things. And there is a internal alchemy that is going to come about as a result. So there's some guidance here that we can work with in this process. The 8 of Forces is reversed, right? The lightning bolt. So we've suffered a loss. The lightning bolt has come and split apart, right? Has split apart. And maybe that is what happens with, Temperance reversed as well, as the splitting apart has already happened. Now it's about the energy dispersing, and now it's time to set down new roots. Oh, there we go with roots again. Maybe we need to come back around to what it is our root system has been in the past and make sure that it is exactly where we want to be rooted. And perhaps the splitting apart here is giving us the opportunity to, as disruptive as it is, Uranus is like a lightning bolt, and Black Moon Lilith, as disruptive as this is, it also gives us an opportunity to set down new roots, look for new ground. And then with the platypus along with it, as usual, stop complaining and focus on your blessings, right? Ooh, there's Archangel Raphael, blessings. Focus on your blessings. Be open to the blessings. Be open to the healing. We are paying attention to what's not working, and maybe we're too focused on the splitting apart of the world around us to really tap into the blessings. And so the platypus not only is saying, reminding us to tap into the blessings and to have, really get that gratitude practice, on point, but also again about being unique. What makes you uniquely you? What makes me uniquely me? This is going to be part of how we manage this situation, because we all have something to offer the collective that is unique as much as our astrological chart is. So also, if we're focusing on what we don't have, what's not working, what seems elusive, you're not going to be able to tap into the actual blessings that Archangel Raphael represents, the healing potential. So the penguin, the period of darkness that you've been experiencing is now passing. It's passing. It has not passed. It is passing. And so this helps us, again, kind of ground down into and anchor ourselves into the divine intervention, right? Number 8 is about the divine intervention. The 7 is like the quincunx. It is the total wild card, all is lost moment, fall from grace. 8 is when the divine comes in to bring a miracle, basically. And this is Archangel Raphael to a T. So we know that the experience is passing, right? It hasn't passed yet, but it is passing. So this can help us actually be more open to the acceptance of divine intervention at the root of all of us as we are going through this process. And of course, again, the Buddha prepares. It's a card that nobody, it's great when you're able to meditate and you're into that, right? Like, oops. It's great when you're able to meditate and focus here, but when you want to take action, oh my gosh, when you have all of this Mars energy, all of this Aries energy, all of, just this really dynamic movement forward cardinal energy, this is not what you want to see, right? But this is absolutely important if you are not getting quiet. And this is where Mercury and Saturn can really help us right now, is getting into the silent moment, getting into the quietness so that we can feel inspired, so that we can get inspiration to really see where we need to be inspired so that we can see what we can anchor into when the darkness really potentially tries to pull us off course, because this full moon is really going to show us that, where we can anchor into in a very confusing and chaotic time. And if we want to be able to navigate this, and maybe again, this splitting apart energy is just as important when it comes to the spark of creation as merging together. That is what nuclear fission is the splitting of atoms. And so rather than fusion, which is how a star is able to create energy, is the energy is released when hydrogen atoms come together and create helium atoms, and then they release energy. Now, fission is a totally different story. It's the opposite of that. When you split atoms, you also release energy. And so either way you look at it with alchemy, you're either splitting apart or you're bringing together, but each one is releasing and utilizing energy. So if we want to be able to successfully navigate through this potential splitting apart, whatever it is that forces us to alchemize ourselves. And there's so much of that right now, this dualistic perspective that is showing us that it is the essence of creating anything new, is to have the dualistic perspective and reality. But in order to successfully navigate that, our meditation game gotta be on point, yo. We have to be able to go within, be inspired, go into the quiet. There's just so much wanting to engage with ideas and information and to actualize ourselves so much that we have to really pull it back in. And this moon in Virgo is a perfect time to do it. Perfect time. And there will also be lots of opportunity today to practice this, whatever it is. So you guys, that is the transmission for today. It's Friday, March 26, 2021. I will be putting out astrology today for the full moon. I will be working on those starseed demos that if you are here as a result of the Redream the World Astrology Retreat and you reached out and accepted my offer of a demo reading of your starseed origin, just sit tight. They're coming. I'm going to be devoting a big chunk of time next week to all of those exclusively. And come join us on Facebook. Come join us on Telegram. I love Telegram. It's such a great social media platform. And once you get used to using it, it's there's like a chat function as well. And so we can all kind of like come together. And If you're interested in a reading or energy work, you can book through catalystenergies.net. And of course, if you're on BitChute, YouTube, Rumble, definitely give a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe to the channel. It helps influence that AI algorithm to get this information out to a wider audience. That would be one of the best and most appreciated things you could do at this point. So next to booking a reading, of course. But in the meantime, soon there will be Subscribestar. Soon. I'm waiting for them to confirm my profile, and in which case then I will get that up and running. And then you have an option of supporting Catalyst Energies that way and still getting all of this daily content as well as some extra perks for subscribers. So guys, have a great weekend. Really take care of yourselves today. Get into the quiet, into the stillness. Find time. Carve out time. Sometimes doing things like organizing or cleaning or anything like that can really give you the mental space in order to let things process through and be released, okay? Because we are coming out of a period of darkness, but we're not quite there yet. And so we still need to gather our power within and be able to be open to the influx of spiritual healing, of blessings and miracles, okay? Because there is a strong urge to, there's a strong hunger out there in order to actualize. And I think we're about ready to go. We're about ready to pop, it seems to me. So, and that could be a splitting apart or a coming together. It could go either way at this point. But whatever it is, everything that happens is here to lead us back home. And it's all about which pathway we want to take and what is going to be the best for us. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. I will see you on the full moon report very soon. And I will see you on Monday for the daily. Take care.